In the jungle of human ambitions, believing in the permanence of bonds is a pathology of the mind. Wake up from your dogmatic slumber. What you call your circle is, in reality, a stock exchange where everyone speculates on your utility. In this theater of masks, no one is here for your pretty eyes or your noble soul. They surround you for what you drain, for what you authorize, for the doors you open. Every smile that crosses yours is a disguised transaction, a fixed-term contract whose clauses are rewritten in secret, hidden by diverging interests. Machiavelli did not see friendship as a balm, but as a local anesthetic meant to dull your vigilance before the incision. Loyalty is a perishable commodity that does not survive the heat of opportunities. Look at the history of your own life with the coldness of a forensic expert. How many brothers evaporated as soon as your social capital dropped? Camaraderie is seasonal attire. It is worn proudly in the spring of success. Emotional investment is a trap of the naive. For the strategist, the other is never an end. They are a vector. As long as your trajectory serves theirs, they are your shadow. Power has no heart, only vectors of force. In this constant duel, many imagine themselves to be knights when they are merely armor plating. They flatter you, encourage you, give you the illusion of being the king's right hand. Beware, a pawn is not placed on the front line to honor it, but to absorb the shock in place of the masterpieces. If you do not perceive the mechanism of your own sacrifice, it is because the manipulation has already achieved its masterpiece. Observe your surroundings with surgical lucidity. If a more lucrative opportunity opened tomorrow, how many of your allies would remain in your trench out of mere nostalgia? The answer is absolute zero, and accepting it is your first step toward sovereignty. History is a mausoleum dedicated to sovereigns who confused confidants with accountants. Richard III, on the sands of Bosworth in 1485, was not defeated by a superior army, but by the evaporation of his oaths. His allies, the Stanleys, remained on the hill, watching the battle as one watches a stock market. They did not betray out of hatred, they optimized their position. They waited to see which corpse would be the most profitable. To blindly place your faith in a man is to hand him the keys to your own cage and hope he will never use them. It is a bet Machiavelli called pure folly. The law of inversion at the summit, the surgery of 23 daggers. It is a physical axiom. The higher you climb in social altitude, the rarer the oxygen of sincerity becomes. At the bottom, people fight for ideas. At the top, they fight for survival. Your brilliance does not attract protectors. It generates eclipses. Every compliment addressed to you is a targeting beacon for the snipers lurking in your shadow. Your close ones do not store your secrets to relieve you. They archive them as ammunition for the day when your fall will be the price of their ascent. Julius Caesar thought he had bought eternal peace by pardoning his enemies and elevating his favorites. He ended up counting 23 iron holes in his toga, each delivered by a friend he had nurtured. Why? Because power is an indivisible substance. It is not shared, it is stolen. For Brutus and the others, Caesar was no longer a man, he was a glass ceiling. To grow, they had to shatter it. Nietzsche understood this. The solitude of the powerful is not a geographical exile, it is a mental barrier. You must learn to read the venom beneath the honey and detect the vibration of metal behind every fraternal embrace. The awakening of monarchs, the metamorphosis of Steve Jobs. The world of power is not a playground, it is a lion's den where naivety is the only capital crime. In 1985, Steve Jobs endured the most brutal lesson of the modern era. He recruited John Scully by offering him friendship and vision, only to be banished from his own creation by a board vote orchestrated by the very man he called his partner. Jobs had to cross the desert, stripped of his illusions, to understand that collaboration is merely a contractual balance of terror. Upon his return, he was no longer the romantic visionary. He had become an absolute sovereign, managing his relationships with the cold distrust of a Byzantine emperor. This predation is not limited to glass skyscrapers. It creeps through the corridors of your company, family dinners, childhood friendships. The mentor who encourages you, as long as you remain in their shadow, but sabotages your rise the moment you threaten their authority. The parent who feigns solidarity while calculating how inheritance shares will be redistributed. The best friend who listens to your failures with delight to reassure themselves of their own mediocrity. The armor of the sovereign, erecting solitude as a fortress. To thrive in this toxic biome, you must transform your isolation into a precision weapon. Never build your life on the emotional constancy of others, for emotion is the most unstable material in the universe. Your only guarantee of survival is your strategic indispensability. Do not ask to be loved. Love is capricious and turns to hatred at the first bruise of ego. Demand to be necessary. Make the cost of your disappearance so prohibitive that even your worst enemies are forced to protect your life. Machiavelli bequeathed us a marble truth. Friendship is a chimera for salon poets. Power is a science for shadow pragmatists. You walk alone, not out of bitterness, but out of a demand for security. Your vigilance is the sentinel guarding your ambitions. Look at your social circle with the eyes of a demolition expert. Seek the breaking points. Identify the cracks hidden beneath the veneer of politeness. Tomorrow, when the wind of fortune shifts, who will still stand by your side? No one, except your own determination. Embrace this solitude, for it is the price of your freedom and the foundation of your future empire. Be the silent storm, observing everything from the eye of the cyclone. You do not reign with feelings, you reign with realities. In the cold mechanics of human relations, altruism is a biological anomaly. Wake up from this dream where men act out of pure grace. No one crosses the threshold of your existence without an agenda, conscious or hidden. They don't come for who you are, but for what you radiate, what you possess, or what you permit. Your energy is a battery, your network is a shortcut, your attention is a drug. The fatal trap of idealists is decorating others' intentions with the colors of sincerity. Reality, stripped of makeup, is this: everything is a transaction. Machiavelli, the grand scalpel of politics, had already confirmed it. In a biome where everyone fights for survival, those who refuse to manipulate the levers end up crushed by the gears. You believe in friends? Wait until your utility value collapses. You think you're loved? Observe what remains of your supporters when you have no more crumbs to distribute. On life's grand chessboard, affection is merely the lubricant of power dynamics. If you're just a tool in someone else's hand, you are, by definition, replaceable, disposable, perishable. Pawns aren't there to win the game. They exist as flesh shields for the masterpieces before vanishing into oblivion. What I'll reveal today will act like acid on your illusions, leaving only the steel of strategy. Welcome to the real world, where lucidity is your only armor. The anatomy of need, behind the smile, the claw. Let's start with the bleeding truth. Selflessness is a myth for children. Your best friend, the one who shares your laughter, doesn't seek your company. He seeks a mirror for his ego or an outlet for his anxieties. Your family, chanting "we're here for you," often just stabilizes its own structure by ensuring you don't stray from your assigned orbit. Even a colleague's compliment is a micro-manipulation meant to condition your future behavior. Machiavelli taught us, men are automatons driven by self-interest. Even love, that idol placed on a pedestal, is just an emotional security contract. We love because we gain wholeness, protection from loneliness, or social status. Caesar didn't conquer Gaul out of philanthropy. He turned every legionnaire into an investment for his personal triumph. Today, swords have become smiles, but the duel is identical. If you don't see the price tag on every act of kindness, you're the product being consumed. The weakness of saints, the crime of naivety. Believing people are good is the costliest tactical error you can make. It's baring your throat to a wolf while hoping your purity will move it. Blind trust isn't proof of goodness, it's proof of unpreparedness. Machiavelli said it, "He who wants to be good among those who are not is rushing to his ruin." The colleague who buys you coffee every morning isn't purchasing your friendship, he's buying your tacit alliance to cover his future mistakes. The acquaintance checking in on you is just waiting for accumulated messages to create a psychological debt they'll cash in when needed. Remember Paul. Paul was the nice guy, the one who gave his network, his shoulder, his time. They adored him as long as he was the pivot of opportunity. The day he lost his job and influence, his friends developed collective amnesia. He was no longer a resource, he'd become a social ghost. Naivety blinds you. It makes you think you're an end when you're just a means. While you play the heart card, others move their pawns with the cold precision of predators. And you only wake up when nothing remains of you but regret for having fueled someone else's rise. The law of scarcity, from tool to master. The secret of power lies not in what you give, but in what you withhold. If everyone can have you at their table, your value trends towards zero. A tool available everywhere, anytime, costs nothing. A diamond's worth doesn't come from its brilliance, but from its geological rarity. You, too, must stop being an unlimited resource. Learn the power of no, the strength of silence, the strategy of withdrawal. Cleopatra wasn't just a queen of beauty. She was a virtuoso in staging her own inaccessibility, forcing Mark Antony and Caesar to fight for a second of her attention. The anatomy of need, behind the smile, the claw. Let's start with the bleeding truth. Selflessness is a myth for children. Your best friend, the one who shares your laughter, doesn't seek your company. He seeks a mirror for his ego or an outlet for his anxieties. Your family, chanting "We're here for you," often just stabilizes its own structure by ensuring you don't stray from your assigned orbit. Even a colleague's compliment is a micro-manipulation meant to condition your future behavior. The art of obligation, turning favors into chains. Gratitude is a short-lived emotion. Interest is immortal. If you help someone for a thank you, you've already lost. A thank you is the final receipt that releases them from debt. The masters of the game don't accept thanks. They create debts. Every favor you give must be a thread tied around the other's finger. Never give without implying reciprocation will be required. Caesar handed out titles and lands with apparent generosity, but every gift was another lock on his subjects' loyalty. You, too, must turn interactions into leverage. Your neighbor wants you to watch his dog. Your colleague needs your expertise. Your friend wants your ear. Grant it, but on your terms, and make sure they feel the weight of the favor. The weak wait for gratitude. The strong build an empire of IOUs. Rome didn't fall from lack of strength. It fell because its leaders eventually believed in loyalty when they should have believed in dependency. The strategist's awakening, dominate or disappear. History is a morgue filled with corpses of good people betrayed by their inner circles. Alexander the Great conquered the world, yet before his body was cold, his brothers in arms tore his empire apart like hyenas on a carcass. Loyalty never survives the death of interest. Machiavelli saw it. We betray not out of hatred, but optimization. So shift your paradigm. Don't seek to be loved. Love is fickle. Seek to be indispensable. Become the one they can't remove, because your absence would mean their ruin. The world is a chessboard where morality is the set dressing and strategy is the engine. Pawns serve, suffer, and fall into general indifference. Players observe, manipulate, and win. You have a choice. Keep tending your garden of illusions until a predator tramples it, or become the botanist of others' intentions. What do they want from you? Identify the need, saturate it, and wield it like a crown. In this grand game, there are no good guys, only lucid survivors and ignorant victims.